guys, and welcome to Watch Out. I'm your host, Pizzulo, and on this May 2020 episode, we are going to start a new segment here and explore a brand of the new segment that I am starting, which is called Land of the Lost. And basically what this segment is exploring brands that have either gone defunct, have been bought out, have switched names, or have just disappeared through the hands of time. And the first brand that I actually want to explore that is pretty near and dear to my heart is a brand called VANCEUR. The brand name is spelled V-A-N-C-E-U-R. If you Google it, you won't find too many articles on this brand anymore. It lasted for about a decade, from the span of about 2000 to about 2010. It was a little known Swiss brand. It was featured in, basically, you could buy them on eBay, you could buy them on Overstock.com, Amazon. Had pretty good distribution there for a period of time. And let's get into the models a little bit so I can show you a little bit of them. And basically, they had three distinct models to their brand. The first one was their most popular one, and that one is right here. Okay, here is the first model that they had. All right, and this is called the Royal Castle. And this model, again, was their most famous. This really has that Romanesque feel. All of their models do, but they really took the Roman design to a new edge, as basically they had two types to this brand. The first was the quartz, and this was a quartz chronograph. This was the little larger version. This was the 40 millimeter, and this was the first model out, okay, of the Royal Castle. And this basically was stainless steel and gold plating. It came in three different face colors. It basically came in blue, white, and black. So you had three different dial colors, again with the 24 karat plated gold plating with it, with the stainless steel band. And this was your quartz chronograph. It did come with a Swiss movement. It was Swiss made. The one you see right next to it was the newer version of the Royal Castle that came out about 6 to 7 years later. It was more of a limited edition model as the brand got into its later years. As you can see, it's more pronounced here. They got away from the stick hours and replaced them with Roman numerals. It did get a little busy, still stayed with the 40 millimeter size, which was nice for most guys. Did have 10 ATM water resistance to it as well. In the automatic version of the Royal Castle is what I have on today. This was one of my first watches ever in my collection, and it has changed throughout the years because I have modified it. But this is the Royal Castle, a real live version of it. As you can see it right here. Let's see if I get out of the way, if you can see that better. Okay. Not coming in clear right now, but we'll get it there eventually. And basically what you have here, the Royal Castle Automatic, is the same type of version, only it's a little bit smaller. It's 38 millimeter. Again, still has that 10 ATM. And you do have the stainless steel and gold plating aspect as well, the 18 karat gold plating. It isn't on the inside of the band, okay, it's only on the outside. And if I get out of the way, you'll probably be able to see it better, because there's no, here we go. Okay, so it does feature, this model, the automatic version, does feature the day date, whereas the quartz chronograph version only featured the day. So this is a day date, 10 ATM, and its movement, they had their own little movements that they basically went after, that they made with this company. And they were pretty accurate, anywhere between 3 and 6 seconds a day fast this ran, and it still does to this day. And again, this is a good 10 years old, so it really has withstood the test of time. Now, I have modified this. The automatic versions did not come two-tone. They usually came with all solid 18 karat gold plating, or they came all steel. The two tones were really left for the chronograph version, as I showed you earlier over here, whereas the automatics were one, either the gold tone or the silver tone. I had modified this to be this way, and I attached it to the head, so I got a little different feel. I wanted the two-tone version of it, and so I was able to find a band of VANCEUR that would fit this model. And I also upgraded it again by having a custom 10 karat solid gold bezel around the dial put on. I had the 18 karat plated one taken off and the 10 karat solid gold bezel mold made and put on this watch as well, to give it extra value as well for me, just because it is sentimental and I do want it to last longer. The main problem that happens, and you can see it on this piece over here to the Royal Castle, if I bring that in, you see it does scratch up quite a bit. This is a used model over here, so you could see the scratches that happened. It really didn't happen on the screws. They had 8 screws along the side. These were just decoration. They had nothing to do with the bezel coming off like a Rolex or something like that you could actually screw from the top, from the front of the watch. You could actually get it off. This had nothing to do with that, even though this does pop off. The screws have nothing to do with that, but you could easily scratch this based on how you hit it if you hit it the wrong way. So the Royal Castle was their most popular line. It was their most accessible line, and it really made the brand, it gave the brand an image that it lived up to through the years. The next line that it went into was the Royal Horse. Again, this may look very familiar to you. This kind of looks like an Omega Speedmaster. The Royal Horse was a 40mm watch. They took out the stainless steel band and they replaced it with a leather matching blue band like this. I do believe it came in 2 colors, both black and blue. It did have the 18 karat plated bezel, as you see here, with the chronograph functions and the date, 10 ATM as well. This was a little bit harder to find. A lot of people had a tougher time finding this model. It was a lot more expensive, whereas the Royal Castle that I showed you before, the automatics and the chronographs were both listed around $4.95 when they came out from Overstock.com. The Royal Horse models usually were anywhere between, at this point, because they came out a little bit later in the company's history, around $6.95 to $7.95. So a little bit more expensive. You really didn't get as much bang of a buck as you did with the Royal Horse as you did with the Royal Castle. You really got more for your money at that. But this was another look and design. They again copied the Speedmaster, both of Rolex and Omega. You can see why they would want to do that. They had a really nice blue dial, and this was a little bit rare, more of a limited edition piece. Speaking of a limited edition piece, after the Royal Horse came out, they also came out with the Royal Sport, which was limited to 500 pieces as well. Again, similar to the Royal Horse, but this time they took out the leather band and they replaced it with the stainless steel and the gold plated band to match the bezel. This looks much more like a Breitling. You got the Navitimer, that type of Breitling, so, and the Chronomat, so you got that type of look with this one. This is more of 42, again 10 ATM, limited to 500 pieces. All these had luminescence with the Royal Horse and the Royal Sport. They both had luminescence on the hour hands as well as the marker hands as well, so you can see both of those as well. And again, the Royal Sport came after the Royal Horse. This was pretty much the last model they came out with before they disappeared. This was actually more expensive. This was around $1,000 to $1,200. They started to get much more expensive as the years went on, and I'm guessing because of cost structure. They were having problems with selling issues and their cost structure. They even made a ladies' piece that was designed for the women, so the women wouldn't be left out. And this was the RL series, and the ladies' piece, as you can see, this was a cubic zirconia piece. Okay, it had about 30 to 35 cubic zirconia features on this sucker. You can still get these on eBay. They still have a couple of new ones left. Sellers still have this available. This lists anywhere between $150 and $395. When these came out, again, everything was listed at $495 from Overstock.com or Amazon or eBay, wherever you had them. They all had them at that signature $495 price. But these this is the only model you can still get new if you do like it. It's more like a Rado type design. It does not have the day date. As far as I know, it's only 3 ATM from what I know. But it is a very, very nice women's piece. Will last you a long time. Swiss quartz movement, and it just has a nice, different feel to it. And VANCEUR was a brand, again, that was there for about a decade. My premise is I think they ran into money problems due to competition, due to the 2008 crisis that hit the world as well, the financial crisis, and they just went defunct. They just disappeared overnight. Their website was around up until about 2-3 years ago, but you couldn't buy anything off it. It just totally disappeared, and you can still find a couple of sites that say they have their watches, but you can't buy them. It's really a shame because it is still one of my favorite watch designs to this day. As you can see, it's still here. I got this one in around 2001, 2002, so this one's almost 20 years old itself and has withstood the test of time. Never had a problem with it to this day. And the funny thing is, I had read on a watch forum that they actually still survive, not VANCEUR, but the son of the guy who owned VANCEUR took the name and redesigned it, and now it goes under the name of TW Steel. That's TWSTEEL. And that could be very true, because if you look at TW Steel, and they're still around today, my co-host on It's About Time, Jared, has one of them now. He just bought the triple date watch of TW Steel. And if you look at TW Steel, it's very, very significant. It has the same dial hands that VANCEUR does, has most of the same designs that VANCEUR does. So it wouldn't shock me if his son did take the brand and remodel it and then call it something different, and they still are around today. So look at that hour hand, the minute and the hour hand design of VANCEUR, and then go take a look at TW Steel's designs, and you will see very, very similar aspects, like they're using the same parts from VANCEUR to the TW Steel brand today. So that is something, if you had VANCEUR or do want to carry on its legacy, you can go to TW Steel and see if their brand does live up to the standards that VANCEUR did bring back from 2000 to 2010. I was very, very sad that the Royal Castle and the rest of the other watch models from VANCEUR just disappeared. Like I said, the only place you can probably get them is on eBay, and they range anywhere between $100 to $200 these days, so you can get them at a discount if you could find one in good condition. They did have the sapphire crystal, as I had mentioned before, 10 ATM, screw down case back, and they can be opened with a regular watch tool. So they did have a nice design of a castle on the inside of it as well. And if anybody finds one, I recommend you pick them up. It's a nice piece to add to your collection. So that pretty much wraps up the Land of the Lost for VANCEUR in this episode. I look forward to seeing you next month on our next episode of Watch Out.